Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Minecraft Disney Q&A. Today we've got a bunch of people here on the Q&A crew. We're going to head around Hollywood Studios. I'm going to answer some questions regarding Minecraft Disney or just Disney in general. Let's kick it off with Sean Blue Revamped, who asks, when Disney movies come to mind, most people don't take into account the Disney sports movies. The Disney sports movies are personally some of my favorites, like Cool Runnings, Remember the Titans, Miracle, etc. Do you think sports movies are underrated, and what's your favorite Disney sports movie? First off, my favorite Disney sports movie has to be The Mighty Ducks. I don't know, that was just perfect. Watched them all, really enjoyed them. Do I think they're underrated? That's an interesting question because it made me think about the film industry in general and how Disney deals with it. And I think... yeah, maybe they're a little underrated. I think what it boils down to is that when you make a sports movie, and this isn't Disney specific, this is just film in general, but when you do a sports movie, you are right off the bat sort of limiting your audience to people who are fans of that specific sport. For instance, in general, you're not going to see somebody who's not a fan of hockey watch a hockey movie, or, unless you can, convince the audience that the movie's about more than just the sport, but another specific story. Like Miracle's an interesting one because it's, I think, not as much about the hockey game itself as it was about, our tense relations with Russia during that times and during those Olympic Games. So there's a larger story there. But something like, The Mighty Ducks or Cool Runnings. Cool Runnings is just an interesting one. It's funny. You think of these Disney sports movies and they try to find these like really interesting twists because if you do something more standard like, say, The Mighty Ducks, I keep coming back to, it's just a hockey movie where if you hate hockey, you're not going to really enjoy the movie. So I think that's why you see studios do less of that sort of stuff. And I think when you do see them do it, they're on a smaller scale. For instance, either made for TV or direct to DVD, that sort of thing. That said, coming up soon, there's a movie called $1 Million Arm, which is about a pitcher that has John Hamm in it. So it's not like they've abandoned sports films in general. It's just they do a lot less of it because you have to understand, when you come to a big studio, they're going to try and make movies that will appeal to the biggest audience possible because then more people will buy tickets, they'll make more money, yada, yada, yada. So you're going to see just less of a sports theming there. But yeah, mine definitely, Mighty Ducks. Love the Mighty Ducks, Emilio Estevez, all these childhood actors who I know from all these other projects. Love it, love it. Our next question comes from Fish Alex Imagineering, who asks, hey Rob, thanks for answering my question in this episode, and I have another one. On my next trip, I am thinking about, instead of sitting down to eat lunch in Epcot, I will snack around the world for the first time. So my question is, what is your favorite article of food for every pavilion? And also, have you done this? And if so, what was it like? Thanks again, and have a magical day. So, I don't know if I could break down my favorite snack for every pavilion, because I don't think I've had snacks in every pavilion. Now that I come to think about it, when I was reading this question, I realized I don't have a whole lot of snacks in general. And I think part of that's just because I'm on the move all the time, going from park to park. But it's definitely an option, right? It's that sort of grazing mentality. Rather than sit down for big meals, you just eat a lot of little things throughout the day. That's, not even a Disney World thing or a theme park thing. That's just some people, that's how they eat. And you could totally do it in Disney. I'd be interested in seeing how that cost breakdown is, because, I mean, everything at Disney sort of has an added cost to it, and I'm wondering if, like, snacks, 5 or 6 times a day, as opposed to meal 3 times a day, would even out. But, oh, man, snacks, you've got the giant turkey leg. What I think the big difference is, and this might be something where I'm just not as educated on the topic, is that I find that the snacks in Disney World tend to be less nutritious, which is fine because as a snack, it doesn't have to be. Ice cream may not be nutritious, but it is certainly wonderful and enjoyable to eat. The turkey leg is actually the one snack that comes to mind that seems to be like a hearty, it's an actual, there's protein there. And when you're out in the parks all day, you kind of want to make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need. So it's important to make sure that that's balanced. Now, snacking could be as simple as getting, an apple or some fruit at a fruit stand, and that could be very helpful and healthy. Or, getting a small sandwich to go and doing things like that. So I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be candy and cookies and all that sort of stuff, but I can't really think of anything because I have a sweet tooth, and I'm more of a meal person. So like I really enjoy sitting down. Let's go down here, Hollywood Boulevard. I enjoy sitting down for a big meal. So when I go to the parks, my method is usually have a really big meal. Sometimes not even 3 times a day. I might just do like 2 really big meals, and that'll keep me full. 1 in the morning and 1 at night, and then I just keep going. But I would love to hear how this goes if you go ahead and do it, because it'd be really interesting to sort of approach the food at the parks in a different manner. I will say when I went in 2010, I was on the meal plan because they were doing free dining, and that came with snack credits. So I was actually having snacks for the first time just because they were free, and I had no reason not to. But it always ended up being things like frozen lemonade or ice cream, or things that you can enjoy and you can have, but you can't really, like, they won't fuel you for the whole day. It's the sort of stuff that you have on top of like a real, actual balanced meal. But interesting. That's a great question to throw out to you guys. If you've ever done that sort of grazing, eating snacks throughout the day as opposed to, big meals, what was it like, and what would you suggest? Especially, I guess World Showcase would be such a great way to do that because you've just got all those different pavilions for sure. I've had crepes, I guess you pronounce them crepes, at the French Pavilion. But again, that's sort of like a dessert food. That's not necessarily a meal food. Our next question comes from your average YouTuber who asks, "Hey Rob, when are you going to Walt Disney World next? When you go, will you do vlogs?" Good question. I don't know yet. For the vlogs thing, yeah, probably, most likely. I'll have a camera with me. It's tough because I like going with friends and family, and once you get a bunch of people involved, then it becomes a big collaboration. Especially, with a family, it could be a lot easier because you're just sort of this one family unit. But with friends, it's like everybody's got their different lives and they've got different plans. And especially at, I think, my age and my friend's age, we're at that age where a lot of people are visiting places they've never been before. So I've got friends who are going overseas and, going to vacations. They're using this time to vacation to places where they might not be able to later on. So I don't know. I know that there's a trip in the works for fall 2015. I know there's also a group trip in the works for like fall or spring 2016, but I would not want to wait a whole other year to go. It's already been 2 years since I've been. I don't want to wait another year. So I'm actually debating doing a short trip solo for the first time, maybe sometime in the early winter, like January, February, March, something like that. March is great because I have awful spring allergies. So it's usually like a nice 2-week break where I go down to Florida and I don't have to suffer through them because there's not as much pollen down there. But I don't know. But that's one of those things where once I plan something, I'd probably mention it on the channel. Maybe to do a meetup, maybe just so you'll know that there'll be vlogs on the way. Let's see. Are they on the ride? Nope, they're not on the ride. But yeah, I want to go really soon. It's also tough to figure it out because so much stuff's closing now. Maelstrom's down, and the Backlot tour is down, and things get closed on the off-season for refurbishment. So I don't know. I have to pick a good time where I could ride on all these things I want to ride. And then finally this week, we have an email question from Joe P, who asks, "What if Six Flags bought Disney?" This is actually a really simple and short answer. They can't. Six Flags is a much smaller company than the Walt Disney Company, so you're never going to run into that situation. At least either Six Flags would have to grow exponentially, or you'd have to see Disney really sort of take a nosedive for it to be in that situation, but you're never going to see Six Flags by Disney. If you want to play a fun game of what if and all the chips lined up, I would imagine Six Flags would probably drop a lot of the Disney method of running things, and that would be really unfortunate, but I think we could safely say that's not going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me. If you have a question you would like answered, feel free to leave it in the comments below or tweet it at me or however you want to get it towards me. I'm at RobPlays on Twitter. I'm RobPlaysAGame on Facebook and Instagram. I want to thank my little Q&A crew here who follow me around. This has been a lot of fun. If I don't get to your question in a video, I will try to get it in the comments. Sometimes there are like repeat questions, so I can't get to them over and over again. But Usually when that happens, I'll try to do like a most commonly asked question episode. Anyway, have a great week. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it. Makes it so much better. I hope to see you all next time for the next Minecraft Disney Q&A.